All right, welcome back, y'all. Birds of a Feather, AJ Suburban Princess here, back with my girl Nick from 925 WTXU Country Station. She is sharing some time with me tonight before we go through this Sixers playoff bonanza. Thank you, Nick, for making time tonight. How are you? Oh, can
You're
you hear me?
welcome. Thank you.
Oh,
Happy Easter. Happy Passover. Yeah, can you? Yeah.
yeah, it's a little delayed on
Happy
your end. That's why I
Easter.
wasn't
Happy
sure.
Passover. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm at my parents' house in
Yeah.
northeastern PA in the Poconos, under my mom's Afghan. So I guess maybe the Wi-Fi isn't like the best, so we'll do our best.
We'll do our best. I'm still glad you came anyway. I just wanted to talk. I've been having the raps all week, and it's like I don't seem to be working well with trying to coordinate with my regular co-ed Eddie, because when I'm thinking of something, he's probably busy and I don't want to disturb him. So, but thank you for being available. I know this Easter weekend is going to be special, but like you, I'm cold because our heat's not on because this weather's been pretty much up and down. So there was no need to put the heat on when it was like 80 degrees 2 days ago.
Yeah,
So
I had. Did you put your air conditioning on? Because I did. I put the air on.
I didn't know because I guess I'm premenopausal because I'm just starting to go through the hot flashes. So it's like I haven't known the difference, honestly. So I'm
That's
accepting the
funny.
fact that my
I
body's going through.
couldn't I couldn't take it. It was what was it on Wednesday night? It was so warm, and I was like, "You know
Yes.
what? Sometimes I don't know why I feel like a failure if I turn on the air conditioning, like, before Memorial Day," but I was like, "Climate change is real, and it's 75 out, so I'm just gonna turn on because I like to sleep in the freezing cold. Like, even in winter, I like the window cracked and, like,
Mhm.
burrowed under the blankets, you know? And so I was just like, "Screw it." Like, I'm turning the AC, so I did, and then obviously I had to turn it off because then it got, like, chilly, so and I think I'm from near the Poconos, which is where I'm at now at my parents, and it's gonna
Yeah,
be like 37 tomorrow.
I know. See, it's like a crackhead. It's like you can't win. I mean, at my mom's house too, and I went for a walk today because I needed to get back on my walking horse, and I'm sitting here dealing with the fact that I'm in a pre-diabetes range already. I'm like at 43, what the hell is going on? Anyway, so have to have to deal with that reality. I said I was ready for my 40s, but I wasn't ready for this shit. But I have to get used to it because I'm gonna get rid of it because it's just
Listen,
it's
Suzanne, you gotta read Suzanne Summers' books because I think she always talks about like how she's 70 and still feels 35.
look. I think that's how my bestie Jen is because I always call her Benjamin Button. She's living in Miami now and she's walking every day and she's like, "You gotta walk," and I'm like, "Yeah, looking at your environment, I would want to walk too."
Yeah,
But
people do say that. People say that like walking, they're on TikTok, it's the whole thing called like hot girl walks.
yeah.
And so I was like, I need to start doing it more.
Well, I'll probably look prettier after a month of doing it because right now I can just hear myself breathing hard and that's not sexy. I'm
Listen, you're
just going.
doing it. That's all that
It's real
through
sad
your
when I
nose, out your mouth.
yeah, I can
No,
hear
you
myself.
can't. You have to tell yourself it's all in your mind. So you just have to say hot girl walks, hot girl walks, hot girl walks.
I will do it next time because when I start
That's
hitting
what
them
you got to keep
hills,
telling yourself.
yeah, when I was hitting them
Yeah.
hills, I
Oh,
started to
the
go to
hills.
myself. I was like, okay, just don't be any geese because I don't have the energy to run. But enough talk about that. I
Yeah.
brought you
Let's
tonight
talk
because I
Sixers.
wanted we wanted to talk Sixers because at this point I'm always neutral in the beginning of playoff series because we all know how we pretty much seem to be stuck in the last four seasons with these Sixers in the second round. So this is the first time since they even started going back to the playoffs that I've been nervous in the first round. How are you feeling?
I mean, you and I follow each other on the social, so I'm assuming you know about my issue with the snake, right?
I thought about you. That's why you're the first person I thought to talk about. Because I
So
know Nick's going,
I'm just gonna
change
say it.
the logo.
Yeah, so here's the thing. This is now, I think, the fifth season where they unveiled this snake logo in the playoffs. And that's what's really weird. It's like they thought they were being all like cool and cheeky, and they were gonna have this like special playoff logo, like live free, die. You know what I mean? And it was like, I'm pretty sure this is the 5th season. And as soon as I saw it 5 years ago, I was like, this is creepy and it's bad juju. Like, I'm like, just keep the regular logo. Like, what is this snake? Like, there's nothing Philly about the snake. The snake isn't ever talked about in Philly. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
just this like random thing that they thought that they would do. And they've ever since they had the snake logo, they've never made it out of the second round of the playoffs. And I know it sounds ridiculous. And I know people are like, this white girl's crazy. But I'm telling you, like, I know juju.
Yeah.
And there's it's a juju. And so I've tweeted Daryl Morey. I've tweeted the Sixers. Like, I've said it, and there is nothing I want to be more wrong about. Like, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that they make it to the 3rd round, they make it to the conference finals, and people start tweeting me and be like, "You're an idiot," and I'll say, "Yes, I am." But I just don't feel. I just think that there's something missing. I can't explain it, but I just do, and I think that this is why I love sports, because sports is the intangibles. You could look at statistics all day, and I love JJ Redick, and who he followed me on Twitter. I'm like still freaking out about. I thought it was a dream.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
I didn't know that. I
yeah,
missed that
yeah,
moment. Oh crap.
yeah. It was. I'm still like, and he has his podcast, Old Man and the Three, and he was doing an episode with Draymond, and they talked about the intangibles and how when you are drafting players, how the intangibles matter. And it's so hard to how they were basically like, both of them were saying that, the work ethic and what time they show up at the gym, and their basketball IQ, and their passion, and all those things that you can't find on a stat sheet. Those are ultimately the things that set you apart. And so I know it sounds silly sometimes, but like the snake is the intangible. And I just think it's some kind of energy. And like I said, I want to be wrong. I really do. And the bottom line is that like Joel needs to stay healthy, and James Harden has to play like he is his MVP season. Like, obviously Tobias has to play. Yeah. Like, Tobias has to play at the highest level. Maxey has to play at the highest level. And like, don't even get me started on Thibault. I mean, the whole thing is crazy.
I know.
I think he got like one boost but didn't get the others. And it's like, when you play a team sport, you have to do the best for the team.
Oh God.
And like he's the biggest, like I even like the whole Kyrie thing, like I at least respect it that he was very adamant from the beginning about it. So it's like, okay, like even though I don't agree with it, it's like, okay. But the whole Thibault thing is just weird. And not to mention, I just feel like the deal, your team's in dire straits. And to be honest, like, going back to the snake really quick, I was just talking about it with a friend of mine because he thinks it's hilarious with the snake. And I was like, he's like, it's the coach. I go, oh, really? Because everybody thought it was Doc Rivers' fault. Everybody thought it was Brett Brown's fault. Everybody thought it was Brett Brown's fault. All of a sudden, everybody thought it's Doc Rivers' fault. Everybody thought it was Ben Simmons' fault. And I'm like, what's the common denominator? The snake.
I thought they were going to go back to just embracing the Spectrum thing. I thought with the whole city edition and the Spectrum thing, I thought maybe they would go back to embracing the old logo, actually. So I was kind of shocked when we went back to Philly Unite, because no one's been really pressing it till now.
Yeah, and Natalie and I talked about it a little bit. And we were just like, why didn't they do like Benjamin Franklin and the kite and the key and the lightning bolt and like electricity and just that? You know what I mean? Like something to me, it's like electricity, positivity, power, excitement. Gotcha. Like that is something. But again, even fireworks, 4th of July, American,
in front of the
Independence Day.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, but I do think that in regards to the actual team structure, we obviously need James Harden to play at the ultimate highest level. And then he made that weird comment in Complex where he was like, I have nothing to prove. And it's like, oh, here we go. Oh, and then, the whole Thibault thing, and the fact though that like it was weird. I don't know. I just had such a strong kind of like affection for Brett Brown. There was something about Brett Brown.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because he was there in the process and like I wanted him to like see the process through. And I
Yep.
thought they used him as a scapegoat. And then they got Doc Rivers. And I talked about this a little bit on the Lipstick League, but the Doc Rivers thing is the same as the Joe Girardi thing. It's like they keep bringing back these people that had success in the past, but it's like
Yeah.
I really believe that you need young blood. It's like, look, for as much as the Rams are annoying, but like Sean McVay is a perfect example of that. Like there's these young, hungry coaches in
Yeah.
all these major sports that like they just have a new way of thinking. And I keep telling people all the time, it's like I work in radio, right? And I work at a country station, so it's a lot of new music. It's a lot of young artists. Like you have to surround yourself with young minds because when you think of the greatest inventions in the past, they all started by college kids in their dorm rooms or college kids in their basement or in a garage, right?
Mhm,
Facebook,
mhm.
Apple, Microsoft. It's like young minds are the future. So the fact that they keep, Philly keeps doing this thing, it's like the same thing that happened with Gabe Kapler, where like they didn't like him because he was different.
Right.
So they brought in Joe Girardi and like, look where we are, right? And
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
kind of what Doc Rivers, like I think Doc Rivers, I am not like disrespecting what he has done in the past. Like he obviously is a legend, but like
Right.
it's there, you need fresh blood, right? Like there needs to, so again, I want to be wrong. I really
Mhm.
do. Like I want them to sweep these first two rounds and like let's go, but I can't explain it. I just feel like something's missing.
And I agree with that because in so many ways there has been still this feeling that they're not there yet. And I think that part of me as a fan being so used to the highs and lows with mostly all Philly teams, I'm always naturally expecting, when's the shoe gonna fall moment. And it's bad because I know it caters to that whole Negadelphia, persona that we're obviously labeled
Right.
as. But we're also so used to failure that it is really hard to think positive. So I'm trying to find the positive in the sense that, well, the difference is Embiid played his ass off even after COVID almost took him out. And, I think that that's a,
Mhm.
a sure sign alone that they could possibly get past the second round. But I agree with you. Harden is a factor, and Harden coming here on a bad hammy, or what is it, calf? Either way,
Mhm.
a bad body part. And that's a key to his style. It just sucks that as we saw him kind of slowly become more quiet, trying to figure out ways to get the offense going, it just makes me nervous because I think also too the other guys are sometimes so busy watching him, trying to figure out where he's going to toss the ball that they forget their performance, their defense. And where I start getting paranoid is in the second half of games. And that was evident in the last month or so where it seems like that's where they start trying to lag.
Mhm.
And that is what I don't want to see because you got a youthful team in the Raptors that we didn't need a Kawhi this time. Even if Fred Van Fleet doesn't
Mhm.
have a great first 1 or 2 games, that doesn't mean they're gonna come back in 3 and 4 when we don't have Thibault, and tear it up. So every game to me
Mhm.
is, I heard somebody actually on Mike's show in Sound Off talking about it. He goes, it's literally game to game. And it is for me. I mean, I want to be the fan that
Mhm.
goes, they can win it all. I honestly think Sixers and 6, but um part of me wouldn't be shocked if there was game 7. I would hate it, but
Yeah.
because they shouldn't go game 7 in the first round at all. They should be able to just at least do it within 5 or 6. But I just feel like if you have a mentally strong Embiid as well as obviously physically, and then kind of that whole MVP controversy hanging around him, I think he'll be more
Which
motivated
is just
to. It's a whole bunch of bullshit because honestly, if Jokic already had it, he shouldn't even be a factor this year, and Giannis
I know.
already got his ring. So I think the common denominator is Embiid. I mean, at this point, he's been through hell going through the process. Like at least award him with not even just the scoring
Well,
title.
and that's I think 1,000%. And I think it's interesting too because the fact that like journalists get to decide just seems so
Yeah,
foolish. Like it should be coaches and GMs and players. Like the
and
fact
people who
that
work with
I
them.
mean,
Yeah.
like yeah, that like get to decide who gets to be the MVP. And I don't know, it just seems kind of ridiculous in that sense. And I yeah, he's just I guess I also worry like how much more can he do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I
a
agree
big
with
part of it, and I tweet this a lot. It's like he just deserves a title so badly.
you. He does. He
And
does.
it was funny. One of my old coworkers who lives in LA, and he's this like really just like cool, like shout out Steve Hellman, this like cool, like laid back, and not even 30 yet. And he's like this crazy sports fan, and so we were always talking sports, and he's like, it's not the snake, it's not the snake, it's that Joelle never has help. That's a problem. I go, well, maybe Joelle never has help because of the snake. And,
Nick's like, I'm still bringing it back.
yeah, bring it back. And but it is like, I don't know. I mean, you look at the year when it was Joelle and Tobias and JJ and Jimmy and Ben. I mean, that team was insane, and like they still lost with the quadruple door. But that's my biggest thing is like I just want Joelle to win the title, and I worry that he's not going to do it in Philly, and I worry that like he's going to end up going somewhere else.
Yeah, I know. And he swears he's not, but I'm like, dude, you're gonna get so tired of trying to be the one to help when your own teammates can't
Yeah,
hold their weight. Like if I were him, I'd be like, look,
I
I
was physically
Philly, but I'm
and
done.
tired physically and mentally. So
Yeah.
again, I want to be wrong. I want to say that they're going to be able to do it, but there's just something that I
Yeah.
can't put my finger on that like makes me worry. And other people that I listen to online or on the radio where they seem like they feel more positive, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll
Yeah.
jump on their positivity.
Yeah.
But if I'm just being truthful, there's just I don't know. There's something like, and I guess maybe I think of like, okay, well, even if they are like, you still have the coach, and like, could the coach screw it up, and or
This is
could
my
a
worry. Yeah.
player just not be playing? Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's a lot of what ifs. That's I
Hmm.
think the problem.
And that's where I'm at because I feel
So
like if it's not going to be Doc deciding to sub in Furcon when it's not really needed, or if he decides to put in Shake late when Shake could have been taken off early, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he knows when to plug the bench guys in
yeah,
because they need to really be littered throughout. Because when the starters start lagging, that to me is where you put your youth in. The youth's got to run that middle part of the game
yeah,
where it starts to lag. That's important. And I don't even
right.
have a degree.
Well, and it's just interesting to me because, well, yeah, and like obviously, I played basketball in junior high, and my dad was a
We all
basketball coach, my
have.
brother was a basketball coach. Yeah. But my dad, like I said, my dad's a basketball coach, my brother's a basketball coach. So it's like I grew up with it. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I know that I'm not an NBA coach, but I just feel like
But
this should be like a no-brainer. Like it's like you're supposed to like weave. You're not supposed to like go
yeah.
up and down, up and down. It's
Right.
supposed to be more like this,
And sometimes I think the
and
coach
like
is busy watching instead of instructing, to tell you the truth. I think he's busy sitting there shocked that
totally
they can't do it every night. And I'm like, do you want to coach now? Do you want to take somebody out now? And then
right,
when he does, it's like, no, not now. You should have did it
right.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and I
He's
also
always
think that
behind.
there's something again. Like I respect everything that Doc has done, but I do
Yeah,
think there's like this old. He's a kind of like an old head. Like I know
he's
better than
very old.
anybody. Like you're not going to tell me what to do. We did it this way in 1989.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what.
you know what
Yep,
I
yep.
mean?
You are not Pop, sir. Pop has multiple rings.
And
You've
it's
maybe
and
got
it's
one or
like,
two.
listen, like
Yeah.
I respect that you're grandpa, but maybe it's time to just play some bocce ball. Like,
Barack does it.
yeah, like I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that like I gave it my all.
Right.
But there's at some point that's what I think. I think that there's a lot of young fresh minds that probably have better strategies and understand
Yep.
better, and and like I said, I to me sports is it obviously is the statistics, it is the ability, it is, but it again it's the intangibles like player chemistry, and
Right.
you know what I mean, that kind of stuff like matters. And so
Hmm.
I feel like that's the sweet spot is like getting a coach that like is young and just like gets it, but also like it's all about being open to new ideas. And sometimes I think that Doc's a little too stubborn.
I agree. I mean, look at the Eagles now with Sirianni. Everybody thought Sirianni was a mistake, and yet at least with Sirianni, there is a compromise somewhere that he was willing to give into when it was obviously not going to work out mid-season before they started flipping the script and ended up in the playoffs. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. Youth does help because not only does it help you when you're kind of stuck on that whole, I'm a die on this hill type of strategy. It helps move the
Yeah,
offense and defense strategies along when you're down one guy or one guy can't go because he's not vaccinated or whatever, whatever. So
right.
you have to definitely be molded like Clay, even as a 10 plus year coach. And I think that's what they don't get. Like he definitely has an issue with some
Yeah.
media members, that's for sure. He's definitely one of those guys that can't
Oh,
stand certain
100%.
questions. And I'm like, yo, like
Yeah,
seriously?
100%. Yeah. And even
So I
like,
just
I'm
I
not
just worry about
100%
him.
sold on. Yeah, I know. And I'm not even 100% sold on Sirianni. I mean, I definitely think that he fit that like, young white boy mold. I think the NFL has issues with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I think, when there are some really great examples of like, well, it's the same thing with them hiring the LaSalle coach back, right? It's like, let's revitalize the team, but let's hire an 80-year-old. And again, not trying to take away what he did from his previous partnerships, but it's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You can't
anyway,
fill
listen,
a new wine
I
into an
want
old
like,
wine glass.
yes. Yeah. It's why, like, think about the fact that like new wineries pop up all the time, right? New grapes are being made and new and
Yes.
cultivated and
Yep.
like, so that's kind of how I look at it. And listen, I
You're
want
right.
you to be right. I want you to be right with Sixers and six. And so fingers crossed. But I also like need them to get out of the second round too. That's the thing too.
True. Because this shouldn't be an area where they even stutter, honestly. This should be old hat. I
Right.
mean, and they also don't have someone who's afraid to shoot at this point. Like at this point, no one's afraid to shoot. They have no problem doing air balls on this team, that's for sure.
Right.
But we
Well,
need
that's the
guys
thing.
that
So
are
it's like,
just willing to
okay,
stay focused.
right. And
Mhm.
the fact that you got rid of your player that couldn't shoot, are
Right.
you going to be sorry, my parents' clock is going off.
I didn't even hear anything.
My parents' grandfather clock, so now it's gonna chime 10 times.
Maybe that's a sign.
Um,
Let's just take that as a sign.
yeah,
Ding.
yeah, okay, knock on wood, knock on wood. But it's like Ben wouldn't shoot, and everybody thought that was the issue, but I'm
Right.
like, maybe was that the issue? Do you think he's gonna
Yeah.
play? Do you think he's gonna play with the Nets?
Honestly, girl, unless Kyrie goes down, I don't see that being a reason for him to go in there and mess up the chemistry, especially if he's going to be all stiff backed and everything. How much faster can he be if he hasn't played since June and he supposedly has a back
Right,
injury that he had with us before we traded him. So, it's just at
very
some point it's going to
you know
get
what
tense
this
if
is?
it's not already tense.
Fishy,
Yeah, it's
fishy.
very fishy. I said, if you think you're gonna be conning not only us but them, and then ask for your grievance money from the Sixers, he has a very delusional way of looking at himself. That's for sure.
Right?
I know
Oh
that
my
ego
god.
is huge. That ego is huge. He must have really been a child star prodigy in Australia because he came here and lost his damn mind.
It's like, what is in that Vegemite?
I don't know. And the thing is, I swear, I wish Liv would talk, and I have a feeling there's a reason why she's not because she was not afraid to express or defend him for a while up
Yeah,
until everything started getting topsy turvy, and all of a sudden she's quiet. But she's still on TikTok. I still laugh. She has a son and a daughter now, and her son looks. I swear they all have that Simmons nose. But yeah, it's one of those
where
things
does
we'll
she live
probably
now?
never know. She's back in. I think she's staying in Australia. I think also too because they had a quarantine thing again where she probably couldn't go anywhere. So she's just been staying in Australia from what
Yeah.
I can tell. But she has a YouTube
Yeah,
channel and
that was a lot of drama.
yeah, it's a lot of drama and whatever comes out of it, I just hope she's able to talk eventually because she's like me. She has no filter. So somebody must have got to her eventually in the family and said we need you to just zip it for a little bit. But we're definitely not getting them from Ben, that's for sure, because he has not given anything from us except for
You know what
attitude.
happened to you know what happened to Olivia? That was that Olivia Pope Cyrus stuff right there.
How about it? Oh my god. I can't believe I
Yeah.
finally got through that whole series. That show was crazy. But before you go, I also
We could
just wanted to
that's for another podcast. I have we'll have to do another podcast on my love and hate of Shonda Rhimes, how she's brilliant, but I also feel like she's a sadist.
Well, you know what? At this point, I've turned off of Bridgerton at this point for this season. Once Ray J. Jean Pierce was gone, so I hear it's not even that great the second season. So I'm not even really
There's
interested
not
in
enough
Bridgerton.
sex in it. That's the bottom line.
That's what I heard. Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. And I'm like,
Mhm.
I wasn't just for the sex; it was just him, and whatever.
Oh,
But
so hot. Yeah.
But also too, before you go, first of all, I have to say you need to do a hair commercial, Nick, because every time I see you, your hair looks like you are just like coming out of a Brett commercial. Like you got
Thank
that
you.
Jessica Simpson bounce kind of, shout out to Jessica Simpson. I feel really bad.
I
I
always
tweeted
say,
about her.
great hair, thick thighs. We all have our things.
Oh yeah, thick. Wait, and now Lizzo, her new album, she said she said something a lyric in her new song is like thick 30, and I'm like, oh, I'm stealing it. Thick 30.
Yeah, so good. Yeah, she
Definitely
had
gonna
dropped
say
that new
that from
song
now
today.
on.
It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and also shout out, said I always think about you every time we talk because I always think about Mickey Guyton, how she's been getting a lot of recognition lately. So
Mhm.
even though she may not have gotten a Grammy, I said I think she's on her way, hopefully, to being in the mainstream of
Yeah.
country because she seems like she has a good soul. And I've gone back and listened to some of her albums and she has really good stuff. So
Have you
um
listened to Breland yet?
not yet, no. I will. I'll check it out.
He's from South Jersey. He's a huge Philly sports fan. He's from South Jersey.
Oh, shut up. No. I will check it
Yeah.
out. I've been
He has this
honestly dipping and diving in a lot of stuff. So
Yeah, it's Breland, Breland. He's awesome. He has this new song out with Thomas Rhett called Praise the
okay.
Lord, and it's so catchy, and it sounds like
Okay.
it feels like you're at church on a Sunday.
Oh my God. I was just listening to this couple. They're called Johnny Swim and they have a lot of spirituals kind of music, but they're acoustic couple and they travel and they have a reality show. And I was just totally in awe all day. I had it all over my social media. I'm like, please go listen to Johnny Swim. They're so it's Donna Summer's daughter. I didn't even know this. Donna Summer's daughter
Wow,
and
that's cool.
and her husband. Yeah, they're a very cool couple, but shout out to them. But going back to what I wanted to say before we left, I got distracted by your hair because I'm just like, I have to get my hair cut. I was like, I missed some hair. Um, but I wanted to talk about the draft coming up. There's no way. Are you going to Vegas? You're probably not going to Vegas for the draft, are you?
No.
Okay. You're like, I would love to. That would be a trip that I probably would not be able to work at if I was in the NFL because I'd be so busy getting into stuff. But I know that this draft for me is not as exciting as last year. But I just hope
Right.
that they do go defensive first round because it's just to me more important if the offense still isn't clicking this season that they get at least a decent defense because that was part of the problem too was that other teams were running through them without Brandon Brooks
Mhm.
and all the other guys up the corner. And since we know Fletch is only here for one more year, what are your general thoughts about the draft? Do you care or are you more just like, I hope they get
I
somebody
mean,
decent?
my dad used to always, well, still says, offense sells tickets, but defense wins games.
Yeah.
And so I agree. I mean, I feel like we need to, I mean, listen, they obviously the quarterback is still up for discussion, right? But it's obvious they're sticking with Jalen one more year to see what happens. It's
Right.
not a quarterback heavy draft, right?
Mm-mm,
Um,
mm-mm.
I feel like, yes, could they have gotten a wide receiver? I mean, I feel like free agency, that's a whole other podcast on, Sammy
Right.
Watkins just decided the news broke how they pursued him and he decided to go to the Packers. Um, so I feel like the smartest thing to do, they have Jordan Mailata, which
Mm-hmm.
was literally just a blessing from the sports gods that he turned out the
Right.
way he did.
Yes.
And so I agree with you. I think that they need to focus on the defensive side. Roddy McLeod's leaving, and the thing about Roddy,
I
he was a great
know.
leader
Oh my God,
and just like an
Rodney.
amazing person, and just like, yeah, and so there needs to be, it's more to, again, it goes back to the intangibles of like, you need somebody that's actually going to play, but also step up and be able to,
Right.
you need somebody in that locker room that is, and think about it, like, will it be Kelsey, will it be Fletch? I mean, those are really like the only two kind of heritage
Pioneers, yeah.
guys left,
Yeah, yeah.
veterans that are left. And so anyway, I think that, like you said, it's not necessarily a super heavy draft. And here's the thing with me in the draft is that it is the unknown. You just
Yeah.
don't know. When
You
you look
don't
at
know,
some of the
yeah.
best players look at some of the best players. Just don't even go back 10 years. Don't even go back 15. Just go back 5 years and look at the entire NFL, the top 50 players. What? I don't know, maybe 20% went in first
Yeah,
round of
yeah.
the draft.
It is. It's hit or miss. You're
Like,
right.
so people, I obviously it's a conversation piece. Obviously, you need to talk about it, but you just still don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
perfect example is Carson Wentz. I mean, perfect example, and not even Carson Wentz, but Jared Goff.
Oh, Carson, Jesus. Now he's a
They were
commander.
one
What are
and
we
two.
doing?
One
What are we
and
doing?
two.
Oh my
One
God.
and
I know.
two.
I
Who are
know.
the
I
right?
golf being in Detroit. What
So
the hell?
it's
Jesus.
so yeah, like, but it's just one of those things that, like, just because you are the intangibles, right? Just because you're
Right.
chosen to go in the first round. Derek Barnett went in the first round too. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you're right.
Like, it's I just don't care about the draft as much, and I understand that sports heads are supposed to, and it's supposed to be this whole
Yeah.
thing, and you're supposed to say this and that, and but, like, I mean, we really haven't had that much luck. And obviously, like, you see what happened with us, and we, chose Jalen Rager, which
I know.
is what
Poor
it
kid.
is. But yeah, but again, like, he was still the first round.
Yeah, I know. I know. And I wonder if that overhype is that hype part is like where you go with the hit and miss again. It's like you put so much pressure on these kids to perform in the first year. Who the hell can perform that
Right.
soon under a whole nother? I mean, NFL is a whole nother beast. Like it's a mental thing too. It
Yeah.
took Aguilar a while, then Aguilar became the best thing during the Super Bowl year, and then he went back to a pumpkin, and now he's bounced from team to team. So it's like any given Sunday, literally.
Literally. And I think people also forget with Patrick Mahomes that he sat behind Alex Smith for 2 years in Kansas City.
Yep.
Like,
Good point.
he had people forget that he had time to learn the NFL, to
Right.
learn the playbook, to get accustomed to just how the industry is run before he
Mhm.
was catapulted into superstardom. He didn't come right, and he was drafted when the draft was in Philly. I have a video because one of my friends
Oh
from
yeah.
Dallas went to Texas Tech, and that's where Mahomes went, and they drafted him, and I have a video of them picking him, and he didn't go right from that draft to be a starter, and so
Right.
people forget that, I mean,
Yeah, you
Tom
do.
Brady's another perfect example, obviously, but there's a
Yes.
lot of elite athletes who they weren't the starter for the first year or
Right.
two, and they had
Right.
the time to, like, no one knew who they were, to sit on the
Right.
bench, to study the playbook, to learn the game, to understand the tape, and now it's like they expect people to just boom, your first round of the draft, you're supposed to perform
Yeah.
immediately. And it's just so anyway, to answer your question, the draft to me, I just always feel like it's just a crapshoot
Right.
and you just don't know. And so
Right.
yes, I think being a defensive player is what they should do, but who's to say the defensive player is even going to turn out to be what we need him to be? You just don't know.
This is true. And that's why I say, I mean, you strike while iron's hot, but I mean, at this point, some stuff has not petered out in the front office Eagles way. So it's like I have trust issues since even the year after the Super Bowl because I thought a lot of that stuff was coming back to smack them in the face. And it was almost like the
100%.
Super Bowl was a blessing and a curse because what it did was it masked the problems that they still had as an offense. So
Yeah.
and now I wonder what Nick Foles is going to do in Chicago. Is he still going to stay there? Because now they're talking about they're not going to trade Justin Fields. But then I'm thinking, why would you? He's still learning, And I
Right.
just wonder if Nicky's going to stay there or if because and then of course as soon as like they start doing shifting in Chicago, here goes people thinking, well, Foles should come back here. What the hell is he going to do here now? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Right.
we already got a damn statue of him. Like, I mean, he's already made his mark.
Right.
Like, he doesn't need to come back and
It's
save
like
anybody anymore.
it would actually like ruin him to come back. Like
Yeah, it
it's the
would.
same
It
thing
would.
why, like, Seinfeld left on top. They're not going to do a Seinfeld reunion, right? Like,
Right.
you leave it you leave when you need to,
Yeah.
and that's just it, And so
That's
I just
it.
feel
Yeah.
like he's a legend, and he's in his mid-30s at this point. Like, he could just
That's what I'm
retire.
thinking. Yeah. Like, what is he gonna do at this point? And we all know that everything petered out the year after the Super Bowl anyway. So that just was proof that
Right.
he did what he could. You know what I mean? Like, if you're putting any more pressure on the man, he might hurt himself again. So I just feel
Yeah.
like at this point it was a great year, but we need to get past it. We need to realize that every team changes every couple of years, which is the NFL. I know me and my sister discussed this, and I'm just like, I just wish we could just at least keep the core of a roster for once, for one year after another, instead of switching so much. But
Well,
until
yeah,
we
I mean,
find the
did
right
you
fit
watch the
again,
Did you watch the Tom Brady documentary on ESPN Plus?
not yet. I wasn't really interested, honestly, but I know what you're talking about. I didn't see it though.
It's interesting because it goes through all of his seasons with New England, and
Hmm.
it goes, like, from when he started, and then it's, like, the Wes Welker years, and then
Yeah,
it's, the Gronk years, and they have player interviews and stuff, and it's just really interesting because, like, you don't realize how there were so many players that stayed together for a couple seasons and how important that is.
yeah, that
And
is.
it's
Yep,
like that's something that we did where that next year after the Super Bowl, it's like they should have just kept it, try to keep everybody together like one more
I
year.
agree. I agree.
Um and it's just a lot of turn I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
again,
The
I'm not
turnover is a mess. Yeah, it's a mess.
so
I
all
have
right,
to
well we will see.
yeah, I just wanted to I wanted to complete my thought, just to end it too, is that I don't want to be the person who, is mad at Matisse necessarily for a choice, but I just feel bad that he even felt the need to get one shot if he didn't think there was any point to it. That's the only problem I have with his decision. And I think he's very young, and I think I also can tell whether or not he was raised in a household to believe that that was, his approach for the vaccine situation. It was one of those things we shouldn't have even had to know, but at that point, everybody clearly was a go except for him, so he was gonna be outed at some point. I just want people to understand that sometimes it's not important to keep coming at somebody because of their decisions. Yes, it should have been about the team, but at the end of the day, I wonder also if maybe that's a reflection on how Matisse looks at himself. Like, maybe he doesn't think it's a loss either way if he's there or not. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that I think people have to consider. Maybe in his young mind, he's thinking, well, I've only been here a couple of years. He's like, I don't really do that much. I have good games, but I'm not always an offensive threat. So they can clearly do without me. And I'm thinking, no, we can't, buddy. Like, you're the main person. You should have been defensive player of the year. You're the year after your rookie year. And then this comes up. So I just feel like it just says a lot about how sometimes that pressure of outside opinion can get to you, because he really shouldn't have even gotten the first shot if he had no intentions of getting it, you know? And I think that's important.
Yeah, that's a really good yeah, that's a really good take, and I guess we should have yeah, the thing is just strange. It's just the whole
It
thing is
is.
is strange, and I do think that, um, it's it's a team, and but again, maybe it is how he thinks of himself. I don't know. I think you could tell that he's clearly not a people pleaser though, because he I don't know. I just don't think that I could do it. I think
Yeah, I
the
wouldn't be
fact
able
that
to either.
that and he flat out admitted that people have been upset with him. So I don't know why, or I just feel like he didn't give enough information on why he had the decision that he did. And
Yeah.
um I think the one thing about this pandemic, and even we are in Philly, obviously they just came out with the mask mandate. And I think it's important that, like, no one likes the masks. Like, it's annoying. But I
Right.
think the problem with this pandemic is that you really saw people who cared about others and people who cared about
Yeah,
themselves.
exactly. And that's what I think we've
And
all
that's
learned.
ultimately yeah, like, it really boiled down to, like, you had to care about others. Like, it does wearing the mask is annoying, or, like, the fact that we even had to have a vaccine for this global pandemic, but the fact of the matter is, it's like we did, and it
Mhm.
happened, and hundreds of thousands of people didn't make it, and it's very real, and
Right.
so you have to do what's best for the good of humanity. Um, and so on a smaller level for him, it was like you need to do what's best for the team, or just be adamant about why you're not doing it. And but again, I like your take on that. Like, maybe he just doesn't think that it was going to affect the team. I don't know, but I just feel like people would have told him, like, this matters,
Yeah, I honestly do think
I don't
in
know.
his young mind, like how some youth just kind of blow stuff off because they're like, "Psh, we're fine either way. If I'm
Yeah,
not on the team, who cares? That's how I looked at it. I
right,
didn't look at it like
right.
some people are trying to turn it like he's this person who doesn't give a damn about people. I'm like, no, I think we loved Matisse because he seemed so caring and I mean, they freaking put a mural up in freaking Frankfurt's for him. So clearly he has a love of
Yeah,
people, but I think that he also that was just one thing that just wasn't worth discussing in his eyes because it was like, so I don't get the vaccine. I didn't get sick. But then I'm like, wasn't he one of those people that was away for the COVID scare when like half the team was gone?
yeah,
It just made me question, did he actually have it? Did he not have it? Was he just in the range of having it? And then that's probably the only time he got the shot was when he got sick or whatever. Anyway, but the point is, I see now why people don't want to talk about it because just like Aaron Rodgers and all those people, it gets you into a whole media spiral of opinion versus fact and all that stuff. But I don't want to keep you up any longer, Nick. I appreciate you for being available for me, girl. As you can tell, both you and me could talk
we
hours,
will.
and that's what I love you.
Yes. Love you. Thanks for letting me talk about my snake sitch.
I'm gonna let you stand
Um,
by it. I'm not gonna
and
judge
we
you,
will
but let's just secretly pray.
and we will see what happens. And at the
Yes.
end of the day, let's go Sixers. Obviously, we want them to win. So send in all the good juju, and
Yes, here they come. Here they
we'll see.
come. All right. Thanks,
All right,
guys,
you
for
have a great
watching.
weekend.
You
Happy
have a great
Easter.
weekend. Happy Bunny, Easter, whatever. Take care.
My
Bye
mom
bye.
has
Hop,
a
hop.
million bunnies. Look, wait, look at my mom's bunnies. Do you see them?
Oh my God. And this is the one time in my life I have never wanted
So
jelly
funny.
beans or anything or chocolate. I just was like, I just want to go to my sister's and then go to sleep. But anyway, love you,
We'll
love you.
see.
Have a great one. Be
All right, have
safe.
a good night.